When you have 5 immunity agreements and no prosecution, when you are allowing witnesses who happen to be lawyers, who happen to be targets, to sit in on an interview, that is not the FBI that I used to work with.
This is the FBI you know and love. This was done by pros in the right way.
FBI Director James Comey defending the decision to grant immunity to 5 people in the Clinton private email investigation. And we're back now with the panel. Michael, how potent is the Clinton email issue at this point? Is it already priced into the polls? People already know what they think? Or do you think it still has the capacity to hurt her with undivided or swing voters on the trail?
I think it can be a major issue. Donald Trump has to make it one and should bring it up in future debates. But look, this gets at just absolute recklessness with national security information that she got in. But it's also just judgment. Who on earth looks at this situation, says I'm going to put a private server in my house, and who surrounds themselves with the type of staff where not one person felt comfortable saying to her, Madam Secretary, this is a really bad idea, and it risks national security. And so I think it gets both at the national security credential, but also this question of competence and who are the types of people that she surrounds herself with, and do they have the judgment to help her when she gets in the White House, be a good. So I think it's an important issue. There's a number of important issues, and it'll be important for Donald Trump to bring it up.
We asked you for questions for the panel, and we got a bunch on Trump's plan to go after the Clinton sex scandals, which he announced, in effect, in the New York Times on Friday. This is on Twitter from Bill Kuhlman. Trump, needs to focus on Hillary's flawed policies, not on the past action of her husband. Lisa, do you share the misgivings of, I got to say, a lot of our viewers who responded to our question, that this is not helpful for Trump to bring up?
Well, I think that both candidates need to be held to the same standard. And if Hillary Clinton is going back 20-something years to attack Donald Trump, she should be equally scrutinized. And the Wall Street Journal had a great article about a year ago titled "The Clintons' War on Women." And essentially what it said is Hillary Clinton can't use her gender as a political shield and a sword. And it is hypocritical, the fact that it's been well documented that she has gone after these various women and criticizing them, dragging their name through the mud. But yet she wants to stand there and say that each victim deserves to be heard, deserves to be believed. I think in the minds of a lot of voters, that's hypocrisy, and it does muddy the waters to go after her. That being said, I don't think Donald Trump is the best messenger, the best vehicle here, and it needs to be handled delicately. I think it's better done by a super PAC or some sort of outside influence, not Donald Trump himself.
Somebody else throwing the mud.
Exactly. but let's be honest, no candidate, there's no moral high ground this election cycle, sadly.
No, there is no high ground. That's gone. That's all been chipped away or bulldozed.
It does not exist, yes.
We were talking in the commercial. You want to know what we do? We were talking in the commercial, and Bob Woodward was saying he has a theory about how to connect all the issues that Donald Trump is having these days.
It's about isolation. You don't have to do much reporting. You read the stories and you see he makes his own decisions, really is not listening to somebody. And the excellent New York Times story this morning is very important on the tax question, but why wasn't this examined a year ago? Why didn't Trump trust somebody enough to say, here my vulnerabilities are, here's the business record, here are the taxes? Because people want straight talk. We should have learned that a long time ago from him.
You could certainly say that about Hillary Clinton, too.
Yes, absolutely. And the theme here is we've got two candidates who seem to be running their own show. And if you look back at presidents, go back to Nixon or through Obama, the disease here is this isolation, this sense of no one can come in and slam their fist down and say, come on, come clean on the taxes, come clean on the emails. Hillary Clinton in the debate Monday said she made a mistake about the email server and all of that business. Well, the fact is she was making a mistake every day for years on that. And top secret information flowing around. We're probably, before the election, going to get another dose of her emails. This all could have been straightened out a long time ago if you had a candidate, or in the case of Trump, people said, hey, you know what? We have a kind of, as candidates, a responsibility to trust the public with the truth.
So I'm sure there's an element of isolation with Trump. There is with anybody. But Trump, I think also, when he's at his best, has been one of the first Republican candidates to break out of the bubble of kind of the focus on the past and the problems of the 1980s that plagues the Republican Party. Trump at his best talks about both the economic and the social disconnectedness of the working class. That's an important issue to talk about. Trump at his best talks about real issues of national identity and where we go. Trump has also pierced when he's at its best, and that's why getting into the mud on this other stuff.
We see him at his worst also.
Right. The problem for Trump is that I think now he actually does have a team around him that is pushing him to those messages. It's written into his stump speeches now. When he sticks to the teleprompter, he's delivering that effectively. He did that in the first debate. But the reality is Donald Trump is who he is. Right. Whether he is in a small, isolated group of advisors or a larger group of advisors, if you look at his history for decades in the public eye, he is a man who will chase the shiny object, and the Clinton campaign has learned that very well.
Yep. No. I want to, in the time we have left here, kind of take the 30,000-foot view, because there was a big milestone, and that was the debate. We have 5 weeks left. There are going to be 2 debates in the next 8 days, the vice president's on Tuesday, the second president's town hall next Sunday. Clinton clearly got a bump from the first debate and is ahead, but it's still well within reach. Julie, your perspective on where this race is right now.
I think that despite a lot of the volatility that we see in the race day to day and these various issues that pop up, the race actually has been fairly steady if you look at the fundamentals for months. I think that Clinton has a well-organized campaign. She has more pathways to the 270 electoral college votes that she needs. She has strength with certain demographic groups. She still struggles with her honesty and trustworthiness. She's struggling to energize young voters, and that gives Trump an opportunity. His challenge right now is that while he has coalesced a large segment of the Republican Party, it's not enough, and he is not right now doing what he needs to do to bring in women, some younger voters, some minority voters, to really flush this out and give him a pathway to 270.
Michael, let me turn to you on that, because I think we all would agree that his Twitter storm and continuing this fight with the Miss Universe was highly counterproductive. You know, move on to policy. Does he, in these next 5 weeks, have the opportunity to turn that around? Because I think he probably did clearly hurt himself with women, with Hispanics, with a lot of people who have questions about his temperament. Can he, in these 5 weeks, make a second chance to make a first impression?
Yeah, I think that there's still enough time for him to win. I think he needs to focus on those messages that I brought up, which are about talking about the real issues people feel today and how he can take us on a path to the future. But there's truth in what Julie said. I mean, this is a race that Hillary has kind of had a 3-4 percentage point lead in the steady state. Hillary had a good June, Trump had a good July, Hillary had a good August, Trump had a good September. We'll see what happens in October and whether there's enough time for Trump to get back on that message. But it requires a discipline in talking about real issues and not kind of this silly stuff from 20 years ago.
Bob, 30 seconds.
Real quick. What does the voter want? The voter wants honesty. And I think you look at the next debate, and whoever wins is going to be somebody who conveys the feeling through what they say, addressing serious issues, and says, hey, you know what? I'm really coming clean. And we have 2 candidates who are not coming clean enough.
Beyond honesty, I think they probably also want a candidate who they feel is in it for them and not in it for themselves. And there's been a feeling that too much of this has been about the 2 candidates and not about the American people. Anyway, thank you, panel. See you next Sunday.